Hey, this is your cousin Keith with another episode of Real Talk, Real Money, where we talk about your wealth mindset, your financial freedom with no flexing, no fluff. We are your hosts. Let's get into it.
Good morning. Welcome back to Real Talk, Real Money. I am Lonnette, and I'm sitting here with my illustrious co-host, Cousin Keith. Last episode, we talked about one of the biggest questions families have, and it's, where did the money go? Every week you get paid on Friday, and you question by Monday, where did all the money go? And so we covered the leaks that families have in their finances, and how to strategize to avoid the leaks, the credit leaks, the debt leaks, the protection leaks, the ownership leaks, and of course the legacy leaks. So today I really want to focus in on those legacy leaks, because I don't want to keep harping on what you should be doing now, what you should be doing now. Really, I want to talk about what we should be leaving our families in addition to finances. I think it's important to have more than just money passed down from generation to generation. And so when we talk about these legacy leaks, if we see every generation is going to start again from zero, we have to begin to figure out what's going on, because this isn't just bad luck, right? This isn't just poor spending habits. This is really a missing family system. And if that system is created properly, it will work from generation to generation to generation, regardless of how the market sways, regardless of how the trends move. That system put into place properly and incorporated by your predecessing kinfolk, it would save the family time and money. So I want to talk about, what are we leaving behind and what are we teaching our family members before we leave here? Because that's what the legacy is about.
Okay, that's cool. So I'm going to jump in here real quick and just say, like, legacy to me is first is about the stories that we get told. Like, unfortunately, we've had to go to a couple of funerals in the last few weeks, have a few coming up this week, as a matter of fact. And it's the stories that our families tell us. That's a part of your legacy. It is the value system that is in place. It is your faith that will help guide you through this process. It is like showing people, like, you're a beneficiary. What do you do with these beneficiaries? Like, who are they? Like, what role do they play? Setting up the foundation, having ownership of everything that's going on, because oftentimes our families are squabbling and going back and forth about who gets what and everything. So that's what I mean about, like, the ownership. So legacy is much, much more than just talking about finances, because that's all I see on social media. Legacy, 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 money, 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 money. But what are the foundational principles of all these things? So being in the space that we are, like, in life now, to be able to pass that down, like, I passed the stories to the children, and now they're passing them on to the grandchildren. They'll go, well, Grandma Ruby said this, or Grandma Ruby said that, or Pop-Pop said this, or they said that. So those stories are the same. Like, for us, I was listening to stories about my grandfather, who I never had the privilege of meeting, but they were telling me about him. And I was sitting there going, like, wow, I have a lot in common with that person. So that's a part of the legacy. So to see, what my direction is from that. So that's the thing, for me. Now, I got a question for you. So when you have all these stories, all these things in place, right? Why do you think each generation has to start all over again, no matter what? Like, everybody seems to start from zero. What's your opinion on that one? Because we talked about this.
I think a lot of it First, I want to say some of it is financial because we don't leave our families in a position to have enough finances in the next legacy. So think about my mom who always said, and I don't know if she said it jokingly because she's still alive, I'm spending all the money that I earn on me. You just like I had to make money, you have to be able to make money. And so I think some of it is that we don't really prepare the next generation to be financially independent because we spend their inheritance while we're alive. And there's no judgment here. Just, if you have a $450 sweatshirt or $350 sneakers, but you don't have anything put away to finance your legacy, you're literally spending your children's inheritance not only on yourself, but on them as well. Because usually if you have on $300 sneakers, they have on $200 sneakers.
So you're saying what mom said, kids don't do what you say?
Kids do what they see.
They do what they see.
Absolutely.
So where do you think those leaks are though? Like when you say like legacy leak, like how do we plug in? How do we fill those gaps, those leaks? Like how do we do that?
I mean, it's tough. I think about the 5 things that you really, really need to focus on when you're trying to fill the gaps on those leaks. You want to look at protections, ownership. You want a beneficiary review. You want to do family money foundation talk.
Ooh. Ooh. Go into that.
You have to talk about the money. You can't give a person $1 million,
right,
and never have had talk to them about what to do with this $1 million. And I know as tough as it is, and I think it's more difficult for men than women when I talk to husbands and fathers, it's really hard for them to open up their finances.
Oh, I agree with that 1,000%.
It's really hard for them to share. But if you don't share with your children, at least on paper, you don't have to show them everything that you have, but you do want to be able to say, listen, I have a plan where I want to leave you, I don't know, $1 million,
Right.
$5 million when I pass away, or even when you turn a certain age. I want you to have access to these finances because you don't have to wait until you die to give your children their inheritance. You can give them their inheritance early to allow them to be able to find a place of financial solitude without you. You have to teach them what to do with the money. You can't just gift a kid $1 million. I mean, even at 25, you should not be able to, with good moral foundation, give a 25-year-old $5 million and say, here, this is for you. What is the plan?
All right. Do you know that they say 70% of people, when they get large sums of money, and including an inheritance, usually blow through it in like 2 to 3 years?
I mean, it's tough. I tell you, I have a kid that's going to be at the Benz dealership before I'm in the ground.
Right.
You have to educate them, and you have to give them a moral foundation to make good decisions with so that they don't. And if you start young, we have our first batch is 14 and 13. And so now we begin to teach them, yes, you are going to have some money.
Right.
How are you going to make more money with this money? Because you can't just take this money and go buy 10 PS5s so that you have all of these giant screens in your bedroom, feeling like you're living it up, showing off to your friends.
Right.
How are you going to make more money? Because this money is not going to last forever. They need to understand that it really doesn't matter how much money I give you. It's never going to be enough.
So, but like, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we've touched on to help them with those financial foundations. like, for example, the bank accounts,
Mm-hmm.
right? The setting them up for investments and things like that so that they understand, because you hear all these stories about having an understanding for what money is,
Mm-hmm.
what the principles and uses of these funds are for. They're not for just buying J's. It's okay to have J's. It's okay to have, I don't know if that's the end thing right now, but because I see them with J's, I see them with Vans, I see them with Yeezys. But it's okay to have those things as long as you're not only working for those things. Like each one of your dollars have a designated place for them to go, an assignment, right? So you want to be able to assign your things to places that also can bring you a return of value, because those things should be generating income for you to do that, which is what we talked about, because they don't know it, but they're about to get hit with some investment classes over the summer. Instead, in addition to the summer reading, we're going to be sitting there having some foundational principles about what that summer job, a percentage of this money is going to go to investments, a percentage of this money is going to go into a savings, and a percentage of this money is cool. You got to have fun with it, ball out.
Yes, there's always entertainment in the budget, but the idea here is to have the budget. The family system really is the goal for the money and how you budget yourself to reach your goal. We always start to teach our children about money young. I mean, even right now, we've got like the second batch, the youngest in the second batch, Yum Yum. She's 7.
Right,
She's learning about money.
right,
And you have to start small. I mean, this is a quarter. If this you break this quarter down, you have 2 dimes and a nickel. You get to have a dime. A dime goes in your piggy bank, and a nickel goes into your investment fund.
right.
And then they learn to trade penny stocks. I mean, it just requires the family to know what to do. And I think a lot of times families don't know what to do. They don't know to start to teach their children how to trade stocks with penny stocks. They don't know that you can go to the bank and open the child a bank account, no matter how old they are.
Right. Right. And I agree with you where we have done that and will continue to do that. Now, with us, we do have a large family, so it's hard to touch everybody all at one time. But when we keep talking about legacy and we talk about money, again, everybody wants to follow the Rockefeller blueprint. Okay. However, there are only segments of it that the public is actually able to kind of see and pull away from. But one of the things was we talk about the foundation. So you said like about ownership. So how do we teach them to actually, I guess what I'm trying to say is like own it or take full responsibility for what they're doing? Like, how do we get them to actually really buy in? Like, because I know a couple of kids, when we talked about investments, the older ones are like, wait a minute, I can make money off of this?
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. Like,
Right.
do tell. So, like, how do we do that? Because we're talking about setting them up with their own LLCs so that they can do things, even in the neighborhood or even online, to be able to make money. But what's your opinion on getting them to actually own their own decisions at a young age? Because I mean, you talking like the oldest one's only 14, so he gonna bandwidth ain't that long. So how do we get them to understand that?
So ownership of your decisions really is, responsibility. And you start to teach children responsibility from the beginning, especially being responsible for your own moves and your own decisions. Something so simple as make sure you make your bed in the morning before you leave. I mean, that is one of the first steps in responsibility.
Right.
Put your dirty clothes in the laundry when you get out of the shower at night. These are the foundations of ownership. And so these responsibilities increase over time to build into ownership. Because if you are constantly taking the credit for that child, good or bad, this child never learns to be able to rely on themselves. You have to teach them to be independent individuals from the start. They are not a subset of you.
Ooh.
I never raised the children to think they exist because I exist. You exist as an entity. I'm your vessel. I brought you here. That does not mean you have to do what I do. That does not mean you have to think like I think, but you do have to respect that whatever you do or think is yours to own.
Right. Like when we talk about to get them with the ownership, having a written plan, because again, statistically, if you have a written plan, you can follow it. It's a blueprint to life, because if it's not in writing, if it's not reviewed, again, I'll say it again, if you don't write it down, you don't review it, you don't really have a plan. You have a hope, because you have to
Yes.
tweak it to be able to move forward. So everything has to be in writing, to be able to see where the family's going, because our kids say things like, well, what if somebody leaving me? Well, first of all, I have to make sure that you're responsible to know what to do. So when we've been looking at examining like how to set up a trust
Mhm.
and the things that go into a trust and the classes that go with a trust, because we always arguing like, what's better, the trust or the will, the trust or the will. Now, it depends on, in my opinion, what it is that you have that you're trying to transfer. So when you're transferring assets, you get to avoid probate. So the family needs to understand how probate works. They need to understand how everything is in writing, that they have to come together. As we talked about, you're talking about beneficiaries. Like
Mhm.
those beneficiaries are actually trustees in this process. Like, how do we, all right, not only did we receive it, now how do we continue to grow it? And this is where I believe that comes into play. How do we grow it? How do we keep moving it forward? And to be able to go further than extend past the second generation.
Agreed.
Because while I am not a Rockefeller, I am clearly a Jones, and I want that Jones thing. Like I didn't share this with you. I made a family crest and I shared it with the kids, and they was like, "Ooh, what's the word they say? Ooh, bars, right?"
That's
So
fire.
like to have them buy into the process, something as small as just having like a family crest,
Yes.
you know?
It builds camaraderie and
Yeah,
trust.
exactly.
That ability to pull in independent people into a goal.
Right.
The best part of it is that they chose to be a part of that goal.
But that's because you put that in them. Like your values bring, like mom can bring it home. Like mom bring everybody together. Like I call them, yeah, well, Pop said blase, 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 blah. You call them, and I look up and everybody's at the house, like, oh, word. But that's what I'm talking about.
So
Like,
I think that's part of the legacy though.
right.
Because what I leave to my children is a lifetime of loving memories. If I didn't leave our kids anything, they know that what they had as children helped to set them up to be functional adults.
Right.
And they appreciate that. They don't appreciate it when they're 14. I'm overbearing. I make them come to birthday parties and we're having a picnic in the park. Nobody wants to go. They want to go play with their friends and they don't recognize at that age
Right.
what a gift it is to have a family to leave you a legacy.
Well, think about like the impromptu to the, what do you call it, picnic that we had last week in
Out
the
of
park.
nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Like, let's get together. The kids are playing in the park, teaching the little ones how to throw rocks. Those things help when we have a conversation with them about what the next step are. They was like, oh, wow, me, like,
Yeah.
I'm throwing rocks. I shouldn't say this, but they was playing in the water too. But we won't talk
I
about
can't
that.
believe you just told on me like
I'm,
that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's called dry snitching.
That's what it's
Right.
called.
I just dry snitched on you, right? But what's your perspective on like that whole, like what our values and stuff like that? Like how do we continue on, like, really to make it grow? Because I kind of got something in the back of my mind, but I wanted to see where you was going at with that.
I think it's consistency. It's a persistent, consistent process. Loving a person unconditionally
Mhm.
is the first step. You should not have conditions on your children for their love.
Right.
I always told my kids, nobody loves you like I love you. When you go out of this house, nobody in the world's going to love you but us.
Right.
And that love should be honored as they go through life making life's mistakes.
Right. So like a team?
And absolutely.
Okay.
Team Jones. You ask any of our kids, they'll tell you, I'm a Jones. They respect that. You're laughing because that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, because the little one
I'm
said,
a Jones.
she said something about getting married. Like, why are you thinking about marriage? And she said, I don't know, we were talking about it in school. Now, let's keep in mind, she's only 10.
She's only 10.
And I said, so when you get married, you want to change your name? She said, change my name? She said, I'm a Jones. So just like the Rockefellers talk, you can create your own legacy. You can create your own thing to go. Like, I like that. So they say, like, I'm a Jones.
I'm a Jones. And when we sit down at the table together and have meals and we really talk about what it means to be a Jones. And the children have bought into it, and they're passing that legacy down to their children.
Right.
That ability to be self-reliant, so important. The ability to manage your money properly,
right,
is important. To have a strong moral foundation to drive the decisions about what you're going to do with this money is truly your family system. We've created this family system without impromptu decisions. We planned this.
Yeah.
This was not off the cuff. This is a system. You have to have a plan.
Right.
If you don't write that plan down, first of all, everybody can't follow the plan. You never wrote it down.
It's like you always heard me say when I'm doing like insurance for somebody, and I was teaching them at the time when I was doing the final expense.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to tell all my clients, when this happens, I want you to think about it like this. I will call the whole family together. So we've been doing family planning forever, now that I think about it. So we would bring the whole family together. So when this happens, here's what you do. This is like a fire drill. Yeah. But you don't know what to do in a fire drill unless you practice the steps in the fire drill. Because I can promise you that when this person passes away, your brain is going to get numb. You're going to get fuzzy. You're not going to be able to put it together because the person that you love, that you have so much respect and admiration for, and I'm talking about like a parent or a grandparent, say, what do I do next? And because we practice this fire drill over and over and over, my mom used to say, when I'm going, here's what you do. When I'm going, here's what you do. When I was 8, I was like, this lady is tripping. When I was 15, she's tripping. My dad said the same thing. They're tripping. But when it happened, boom, it clicked in. Muscle memory. So I knew exactly what to do. So much like what you call this person first, you call that person second, like we was on our trip. And I can say it, like Mrs. Andino called me. We were on our way to Key West, remember? And she called and said, oh my God, you told me it's like a fire drill to call. And I said, well, did you call the police first? Did you call the funeral consumer guardian? So I told you to do that. Yeah. Okay, so now what do I do? So we literally stopped to help them in that process with the fire drill to give them guidance. And I look at much like that is with us setting up a trust, because it makes no point in us setting up a trust for them if they're not going to know what to do in the fire drill. And I personally have experienced that from my side because you had to watch me be sick, and you with your background and got 2 nurses in the family and nobody could still think. So for me, what made this so important is to be able to put this whole plan together to say everything needs to be in detail in writing what to do when this comes up, because when emotions kick in, logic go out the window.
It's true.
Right. So that's what makes all of this so much important to me. So like my grandfather, he gave us the stories. He gave us my dad's dad, the foundational principles, what to do with, the money. My dad didn't necessarily follow it, but he still gave us the stories So my brother and I knew what to do with that. So we knew like how to go to it. Now it's time for us to take it to the next level. So I think that we are doing an excellent job and passing it on. So as a dad, as a husband, as a grandfather, I'm gonna say like Kobe when he was going in for his championship run, he said, "Job's not finished.
Job's not finished.
I got to keep going."
Still going. I want to touch on the beneficiary review.
Okay.
Just real quick. I was in the hair salon yesterday. Shout out to Hair For You by Karen. And the lady was telling me a story about her daughter had insurance policies from her job.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been on the job 30 years. She married her first husband. They were divorced. She was married to her second husband. And she never changed the beneficiaries on the insurance policy from the job because you don't see it,
Right.
right? You don't think about it. You don't even pay for it. The job pays for it. And so there was a big to-do about the first husband receiving a life insurance policy
Ooh, that happened.
that the second husband didn't feel like he had the right to. And asked, what can he do about it? And the answer is nothing because it's a life insurance policy. He was the beneficiary. You can't change it posthumously.
Right.
But the idea that we never sit down to look at these policies.
It should be done every year. Annual review.
Every year.
Right.
But I don't believe that without support, people are going to do that. And so jobs require you to do health insurance every year. They don't require you to look at those policies every year. They don't require you to look at the 401k, look at the 403b, look at the pension. They don't mandate that you do that.
Right.
And so without a gentle nudge, and we say mentor or coach, financial mentor, driving you to do these things.
Got to come up with strategies. But I'll say this, though. At the end of the day, yes, it's only money. But legacy is much, much bigger than money.
Much bigger.
This episode is sponsored by KJ Financial Group. At KJ Financial Group, we help families and business owners understand financial strategies that can create more protection, more options, and a stronger future. Because it's just not about the money. It's about having a strategy for what's next. KJ Financial Group helps families with purpose. For more information, call 877-386-5514.
Today's episode is sponsored by Capital Keys Financial, your resource office for personal and business financial consulting. Capital Keys can be reached at 855-916-9533 and is located in the Delaware Valley and tri-state area.